There's a place where you can take comfort in the knowing that whether if you've come to stay a while or just passing through, this door is open to you. Come and let's be silent. Come and share a hug. Come, let's pray together. Come, love and be loved. From the blissed out to the turned out, from the pampered to the abused, this door is open to you. Come on in, come on in, come on in, come on in. The God in us recognizes the God in you, the God in you. Whether you're black or white or gay or straight, Christian, Buddhist or Jew, this door is open to you.
Claremont Center for Spiritual Living, how are you this morning? Lovely to see all of you. All right, so remember, while we're indoors, keep those masks up, keep your nose warm. Yes, your jackets on. It is a little bit more fallish/winterish than it has been, so we will get the timing of the heater down on the sanctuary. But for this morning, it's a little brisk, which is good because it'll keep you awake, right? Not that you would ever fall asleep during one of our talks on Sundays. I didn't think so. Okay, great. Isn't it beautiful? Yes, yes, and we're only partway there. So a little later in the service today, we will be decorating the tree, whatever you can reach. You'll notice there's already a few things at the higher levels. Nobody has to get up on a ladder today. But I do want to thank everybody that came in on whatever day that was, Wednesday, that helped run around and put things up and out and straighten the tree and all of that. So thank you all, and everybody else will get a chance to contribute today because this is definitely a community project of light. So I want to welcome you. I'm Reverend Tracy, and happy to have you here at the Claremont Center for Spiritual Living. This community is one of love and support. That's why we're here. We're here to remember the truth. We're here to share our joys, and we're here to watch the squirrels outside the window, just, distracting the minister. It's a personal thing. Ooh, squirrel, yes, me and my dog, yes. Anyway, welcome. Thank you all for coming, and know that you are here by divine appointment. You are loved, you are supported, and you are magnificent. I want to make sure to include our friends that are out there in Facebook land. Are we streaming this morning? We aren't? We are, yes we are. Okay, wave, everybody wave. Oh, I see, we've done some little techno advances. We have things mounted, and alrighty then, this is great. Great, well anyway, welcome to all of you. Wherever you may be sitting, thank you for joining this circle of love and support and celebration. So this morning, our practitioner on platform is the lovely in purple, Miss Patty Powers. Purple is a very spiritual color, and Patty of the Purple will be available to pray with you. You like all of those P's? To know truth for you. Our practitioners are here to support you in consciousness, to hold the high watch, and also to meet and speak with you should you desire a little extra support, a little prayer work, or just, a little companionship of a spiritual nature. That's what our practitioners do. And it is because of them that the consciousness of the community remains at its highest level. So do speak with them. We have other practitioners here today. They have their stoles on. So if you would like prayer, make sure you tap them on the shoulder, or leave a request up front here in our prayer request box. Or you can also give us a call, and there's an extension just for the prayer line. So do take advantage of that. We have music today. We've got Jeff on the keyboards behind the little elf Santa gnome thing over there. And singing with him today is Kat Adams. We'll welcome her back. And I say we get started, shall we? Let's get centered. We're going to take a moment, and wherever you are, if you're comfortable, just close your eyes, take a deep breath, and let the sound of the bowl take you to that place within you that knows only peace. that divine center, which is where love is always, which is where peace is always, where joy lives. That place within, which remembers that you and I and Spirit are one. And in this oneness, we open to receive. We open to receive love and joy and light. We open to receiving a message today. A message meant just for us, each one of us. We know that today is blessed, is wonderful, is joyous, and is fun. And we accept all of these things. And so open to receive, open to listen, and open to being. We let it go and let it be, and so it is. Today's reading is from a book from Don Miguel Ruiz called Prayers, and I'm just going to read part of the introduction. All of us, at least once in our lives, have felt a communion with our Creator. There are moments of inspiration when we feel the immensity of creation, the beauty and perfection of everything that exists. Our emotional reaction can be overwhelming. We feel the most wonderful inner peace mixed with intense joy. We call it bliss, or a state of grace and gratitude. We feel the presence of God. At other times, we feel overwhelmed by the pressures of life. Everything seems to be going wrong in our lives. We don't know what to do. We feel too small compared to the immensity of life. And we want to be rescued from our problems. Our emotional reactions might be helplessness mixed with sadness, fear, or anger. And we pray, "Oh God, please help me." We feel that we are being heard. We feel the presence of God, and we are comforted. Prayer is a communion of the human with the divine. Whether our prayer comes from love, gratitude, inspiration, or from fear, we talk heart to heart with the divine Spirit. In prayer, we quiet all the voices talking in our heads that tell us why something isn't possible, and open a direct channel to our faith. When we use the voice of the human, but we also align with the voice of our hearts, our spirits, and that is what makes the prayer powerful. The power of prayer can lead us into love, truth, and personal freedom. We intend to use the power of prayer to awaken the love and joy, the joy in our hearts, and to experience a communion with union with our Creator. May you find love, truth, and freedom in your own personal way.
Thank you. Well, good morning, everybody. Yes, Christmas is upon us. I brought a couple of interesting songs for you. The first song I'm going to sing is from a 1948 MGM musical. And what I like about this song was something that I discovered in the singing of it. It was sung by Judy Garland, and it was written by a couple of people who ended up writing some very classic songs for MGM musicals. One of the musical conceits is using an octave range, and it became very popular to do this octave thing. And you'll hear it happen in this song, and the way you'll know it is by the very famous song that Judy Garland did that was Somewhere That's in Octave, right? Da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Made so famous, well, that conceit ended up in several songs from 1948 till like some of the 50s. So when you find it, if you hear it, just go like this. Okay, all right, okay. Merry Christmas. Have a merry, very merry Christmas. Dream about your heart's desire. Christmas Eve when you retire. Santa Claus will stop, and I know he'll drop exactly what you wanted down the chimney top. And so be jolly, have a holiday as bright as holly. May the ones you love be near you, with a laugh of friends to cheer you. When the church bells ring, let the angels sing, and you hear the joyful hymn that they will chime. Hang a wish from me on your Christmas tree for a very merry Christmas time. You got it. There's another one coming. So be jolly, have a holiday as bright as holly. May the ones you love be near you, with the laugh of friends to cheer you. When the church bells ring, let the angels sing, and you hear the joyful hymn they chime. Hang a wish from me on your Christmas tree for a very merry Christmas time. Isn't that lovely?
Thank you. So this morning we lighting our candle. For all the candles that are lit during this season, this is the second week of Advent and the seventh day of Hanukkah, both of which celebrate with candlelight. Anybody have a fire in their fireplace yet? So far, anybody have a fireplace? Okay, just checking. A couple of us do. Anybody just turn the little portable heater on and pull it closer? It is a season of light in our celebrations because it is the darkest time of the year, right? The days are the shortest. Even the daylight during the day the sun isn't all that warm, and sometimes it's kind of dreary. I don't know if you noticed this morning there was a wee bit of fog out. Actually, when I got to Indian Hill off the 10, all of a sudden there was sunshine and brightness, and until then it was pretty much soup. So we're talking about light all month, but our theme for the month is it's all about the gifts. Isn't that true? Haven't you been saying that since you were like 3? It's all about the gifts. Although we are talking about the gifts of the Spirit. Because truly, we know that as much fun as it is to get shiny objects under the tree, because it is, or if you celebrate Hanukkah, next to the Hanukkah candles on the first and the last night, or if you're one of those families that has a little present every night, good for you, that's not the whole reason that we take joy, take pleasure, feel filled up in this time. What really warms our hearts is the connection that we feel, the opportunity to be together, the doing the familiar things which evoke all of the hopefully happy memories that we had growing up. Maybe it's the music, maybe it's going to see the lights, maybe it is that fire in the fireplace, maybe you're the family that takes off for Christmas and goes skiing or something. So whatever it is for you, the gifts of the season are really those things which touch our hearts. And, that changes from year to year. How many of you remember this time last year? Yeah, we weren't in this room. We didn't have this tree. You got a picture of this tree last year in your e-blast because that was as close as we could get to really spending time in person. And so to appreciate the lights of the season is something that changes over time for us, and yet hopefully each year brings us back to that place of the heart. Advent is the 4 Sundays before Christmas, and it's preparing for the birth of Jesus, which is that Christ consciousness, that full spiritual awakening that the story of Jesus represents. And so the first week, last Sunday, was the candle of hope. And this Sunday is the candle of love. And what we're doing is we're preparing ourselves to awaken to something greater. Because our process of transformation is continuous, right? We are always growing, understanding, learning, explaining, hopefully surrendering to a greater idea of what life can be. And the process of Advent, week by week, candle by candle, is to light the path so that we might step more fully into our spiritual knowing. And the candles of Hanukkah are very similar. I want to read a couple little excerpts from Rabbi Shai Held. He talks about the Jewish tradition, and he teaches quite a bit. And this is part of what he had to say about Hanukkah. He said the Jewish tradition teaches that our purpose is to bring light to otherwise abandoned places, to bring flashes of meaning and companionship to places otherwise overrun by heartache and devastation. And what does that have to do with Hanukkah? Well, this ritual takes place in the dead of winter. And while most Jewish holidays are celebrated with the full moon, Hanukkah is actually celebrated with the new moon, meaning there is no moon in the sky. So it is truly the darkest time of the year. And what do? We light a fire. Not a big fire, a little tiny fire. Hanukkah candles are like this big. But we light one, and then another, and then the next day another, until the whole menorah is lit. We do it for 8 nights, and we don't pretend to be the sun. It's not some big, huge thing. It's more like the stars, these little pinpricks of light. So we're not bringing an end to darkness in the Jewish tradition. We're softening its effects, right? Because we associate the darkness with the unknown, with things that are unseen and maybe a little frightening, with the cold. And that's not the whole truth of darkness, for darkness is also necessary to life. You know, the seeds germinate in the soil. They don't need the sun at that point, right? Not until the plants begin to sprout. That dead of winter is like Earth's hibernation and is necessary for the cycle of life. We too are born from the darkness into the light. And so while darkness is part of our cycle, we as living, breathing people crave the light, the warmth. We seek out the sun. We look for the light all the time. Rabbi Held quotes the book of Proverbs, and it says, the soul of man is the lamp of God. And it means that ultimately our task is not to light candles, but to be a candle, to be the light. We are those little bits of light potential here to shine in the world. That's what we're created to do. So I was having a lot of fun thinking about light. And I realized how important it is the last time that I walked through my dark living room and banged my leg on the edge of the coffee table. So what light does is it shows us what's already there, right? I mean, the light itself didn't bring a clear path to the door. The path was already there. The coffee table was already there. Light reveals to us what can be seen, what is already available to us, what surrounds us, what we have brought into our experience. So the light that we see by, in other words, being able to see more clearly what is here before us, is the same idea of the metaphorical light, the light of understanding, right? We use the word we use see as a way of saying understand. Do you see? Do you understand? And so the spiritual enlightenment, right, goes along with our ability to see more clearly, and whether we're seeing our spiritual path or whether we're seeing each other or whether we're seeing the obstacle that's in our way. All of these things are part of this picture of understanding the world and our place in it so that we might show up in our best way, so that we might be and bring the best of what we are and who we are to any circumstance. Because the circumstances are already there, right? The furniture's already in the room. It's up to us to navigate. It's up to us to arrange it in a way that works for us. It's easier to do that when we can see what we're doing, right? So there's another quote. It's somewhere here beyond the squirrels that distracted me. I'll find it. Here we go. I found it. Julia Cameron, she wrote The Artist's Way. What does an artist do but see things in a different way than most of us, right? And then show us the beauty of the world. She says all of us contain a divine expressive spark, a creative candle intended to light our path and that of our fellows. So you see, the thing is, when we are here, when we are creating from our own heart, from our own energy, from our own gifts, we not only, make a path for ourselves, we light the way for others, right? Think about the people that you admire. Maybe they are creative people, maybe they're leaders, maybe they're just people who love really well, but their light shines in such a way that you are drawn to them, or you want to follow their example, or you find ways to incorporate your own heart values into your everyday living. This is what shining our own light does for everyone around us. And if you can't quite understand that for yourself, think about it this way. Those who walk around with really dark clouds over their heads, over their lives, and are then around you, they are not life-giving, are they? If you're around someone who only sees the darkness, then they will drain the energy from you. Unless you know your own light, unless you know your own power, unless you understand that the source of life is not what's out here, It's from the one source. It's the spiritual knowing that lights our way. And it is our spiritual awareness which always expands and becomes something greater as we become aware of more and greater perceptions or viewpoints or vistas, you know. It's no different than seeking the high road so that you might be able to see the whole valley laid out before you, rather than trying to figure out where you're going from down on the ground when you can't see anything but the tall buildings, right? So we navigate from a higher perspective when we are aware of our own spiritual nature, and we tap into that source of all light, which is spirit. The other thing I really, going back to those Hanukkah candles for a minute, I don't have the exact quote, but it's a quote about when you light someone else's candle, your own candle is not diminished, right? And if you know how Hanukkah candles are lit, there's one called the Hamash, which is the center candle, and it's used to light all the others. So what I like about that idea is that I don't lose anything by reaching out a hand to you. I am not diminished in any way by sharing the light that I have or feel or can share with you. I don't lose my own creativity if I offer to be creative together, right? So this idea that it's not depletable, is that a word? It's the idea that this energy of understanding and awareness and consciousness, ultimately it's our consciousness, is never diminished by sharing, is never diminished by helping another. It only grows. Because you know that the light from one candle, it's lovely, but the light from 30 candles is brighter. And so we come together energetically, we come together in community, we come together as family, and we are together from this place of love and light, right? We say that all the time, right? Love and light, love and light. Well, there's real power in that, especially when it's shared, especially when we choose to spend time with each other during the holidays. Now, what we also know is that the holidays are not all love and light all the time, right? We think of love and light as being all happy and, you know, the most wonderful time of the year, and it doesn't always feel like that. I don't know if anybody else watched the Kelly Clarkson Christmas show. Anybody? Yes. So she said something throughout the show, but especially at the end. She says, you know, Christmas isn't always your happiest time. You know, if you've lost someone, if your circumstances have changed, I don't know, if you've been through a pandemic the last couple of years, the holidays can be a reminder of what's not here, of who is not with us. And so it's important to understand that light still brings the blessing. It doesn't necessarily bring giddy laughter, but it can bring the warmth of memories, that sense of love, and even in grief to know that we're connected. I was listening to a StoryCorps story this last week, and it was a Native American woman talking about her mother. And she was about 6 years old, and they were in the car, and she was talking to her mom, and I don't remember if someone had died in their family recently or whatever, but they were talking about death. And her mother told her that, you know, someday she would die. And of course the little girl was very upset. I mean, she was crying and she didn't understand, and I don't want you to die. And her mom was saying, well, it's the cycle of life, and we all, this is just temporary, this shell that we live in, and we'll live on, but not in this body. And the little girl wasn't having it. So mom said to her, you know what? Close your eyes for just a minute. And she was silent. And then she said, okay, open your eyes. She asked her daughter, could you see me? No. Could you hear me? No. Well, how do you know I was even still in the car? I could feel you. Right. Because the love that we have will always be there. You will always be able to feel me. You will always be able to feel that source, that energy, that light, that love that is what we share. And so sometimes what the light of understanding brings is a broader view of what it means to love, what it means to be happy, what it means to be connected, what it means to feel safe or to feel comforted. We have the ability, even when we cannot see or hear or touch what we long for, to have a knowing, an awareness, an appreciation for what is true even in the invisible. For the love, for the peace, for the joy, for the beauty, for the things that are intangible and yet the ultimate reality. The ultimate reality. It's that light of understanding that reveals what is already there. We don't have to create it anew. We simply become more cognizant. We bring that spiritual sun, so to speak. The sun is always spiritual intelligence. And if you think of the moon, it is the reflection of the sun's light, right? There is moonlight, but it's really a reflection of the sun's light. That's like our minds, our intellect. And our intellect is brightest when it is completely reflective of that spiritual light. So when we are able to find the spirit within, then we are able to think from a position of light. We are able to reason from a place of knowing that there's something greater than what I can even see, than what I can even hear. I can trust those unseen connections that truly fill me up, that truly anchor me in this world and yet as something greater. That consciousness which expands and ever expands, and it transforms the way we live. When I know that I have an unlimited source of spirit, I move differently in the world. I relate differently in the world. I'm not so protective. I'm not so defensive. I don't have to guard what I have from you, because that source of mine is also yours, and there's more than enough to spare and to share. And I will, and I do, and that makes me much nicer to be around. And you too. And it lightens the room. It brightens our lives. It gives us a way to live through the darkest time of the year. Ernest Holmes is not here. Yes, there is. You know, I've only been doing this for about 11 years. You'd think I'd have this quote marker thing down. I'm working on it. You know, there's always room for work as well as intellectual, organizational skills. Just saying. And just in case you think I'm up here preaching, I'm not preaching. I'm just sharing. Ernest Holmes says this: "Let us therefore light the candle of love, human kindness, forgiveness, and understanding. That light within our own soul, and let it shine brightly. Let us not peer into the darkness troubled and concerned because it is so foreboding and unknown. Rather, let us remain steadfast in the radiance of that spiritual light of truth within ourselves. Let us stand guard so that the winds of malice, cross purposes, ignorance, or misunderstanding will not blow out the light. Let us so live each day that the light from our candle of spiritual knowledge will forever be clear and understood, not only by ourselves, but by all with whom we come in contact." The human being is created to light up this world. And the truth is, each one of us, that we are the blessings of light. Namaste. Returning once again to that awareness.
Coney Island to the Sunset Strip. Somebody's gonna make a happy trip tonight while the moon is bright. He's gonna have a crazy bag of toys to give the groanies of the girls and boys. So dig, Santa comes on big. He'll come a-calling when the snow's the most, when all your cats are sleeping warm as toast, and you're gonna flip when old Saint Nick takes a lick on a peppermint stick. He'll come a-flying from a higher place and fill the stockings by the fireplace. So you'll have a Yule that's cool. Come on, help me out now. Come on, Jeff. Right there. Whoa. Somebody's gonna make a happy trip tonight. Keep it going while the moon is bright. Behind a reindeer with a blinking nose, he's looking groovy in the same old clothes. He's red in a souped-up sled. He's on a mission and he will not shirk. Down the chimney A goes to work. That Mr. C is H-O-T. Santa, won't you light my Christmas tree? He'll come a-flying from a higher place and fill the stockings by the fireplace. So you'll have a Yule that's cool. Yeah! Come on, everybody. You want to have a Yule that's cool, right? Y'all did great.
Oh, very fun. Whee! All right, so let's do a couple of invitations, and then we'll move on to our Christmas tree. We have a couple local events. One is It's a Wonderful Life, which is being done in person in the parking lot of St. Ambrose Episcopal Church, just down the street here a little bit. It's weekends, Friday through Sundays, from Thanksgiving weekend through the 19th. So we have a couple more Friday, Saturday nights going on. It's really kind of fun. I mean, who doesn't like It's a Wonderful Life, right? And it's in a tent in a parking lot. I mean, you haven't done that before. So, branch out, be adventurous, go and enjoy the show. It should be a lot of fun. And there's a couple of these little postcards out there if you want to take one with you to get the details, or you can call St. Ambrose and they'll have the details there as well. Let's see. We have our Christmas family donation box out in the lobby. We are working with the Children's Foundation of America, which is a Claremont-based organization which supports our foster youth. So what we're asking for are unwrapped gifts for kids of any age, infant to teenager. And, you might just keep an eye out for those things that a lot of people don't necessarily give. And I say that because, it's so fun to go get little cute baby clothes and little kid toys, and we need those. But, there's that 12-year-old boy who needs a little something, or that 13-year-old girl who's not really sure who she is, and you have an opportunity to provide something that will bring some joy, that will let these kids know that we care, that we're there for them in the way that we can be. So I encourage you to keep your eyes open. I found that Ralph's has a nice little $10 toy table at the front of every store. So wherever you are, pick up a little something, bring it unwrapped into, just leave it in the box here in the foyer, and those will all get picked up next week and the week after. So if you can keep your eyes out for those, that would be great. I'd love to fill that box up when we hand it back. Let's see. We have our candlelight service, which will be the Wednesday night before Christmas. So that's the 22nd this year. at 7 o'clock in the evening here. Our very own Kat Adams will be singing that night. And we will be doing our COVID-appropriate masks on Christmas caroling. All right, so there will be quiet singing inside your mask. We're not going to spew germs anywhere. Not that any of you are germy, don't get me wrong. But it will be a fun evening of music. We tell the Christmas story from a metaphysical standpoint. There are a couple of readings and, lots of music. Kat has some solos for us. It's a lovely, lovely evening. It's appropriate for the whole family. And we usually end with a big circle lit by candles singing Silent Night. So I invite you to come to that 7 o'clock on the 22nd, which is a Wednesday night before Christmas. I think that's it for announcements for now. So let's talk about the tree, shall we? All right, so this is our blessing tree. And we've done this each year, and you are invited to participate. So you should have a little white paper heart. Mine's brown, but you should have a little white paper.
that parcel, go ahead with it.
Yes, you hang it on the tree and then take the ornaments as well.